Are we ready? Okay. Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody. Call this meeting to order. It is 6:00 p.m. Thank you for attending. Do we have anybody on Zoom?
We do not have any participants on Zoom as of yet.
Okay. All right. So roll call. Becky Schwinger, I'm here. Austin Pratt.
I'm here.
Atlas Pearson.
Here.
John Carlson.
Here.
And Member Martinez is absent. All right, so this is a new year and some new terms for the town hall. So our first order of business under item number 2 is the election of the chair and vice chair for the 2025 calendar year. So do I have any nominations?
Yeah, I nominate Member Schwenger to be the chair and Austin Pratt is the vice chair.
All right, and I nominate Atlas Pearson to be the, I don't know whether your title is secretary, recorder,
Whatever it
clerk.
is.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay. I don't think we ever officially had a title for that. Anybody else have any more nominations? No?
That's
Okay.
a motion. I think we just need a second.
All right, so anybody second those nominations?
I'll second the nominations.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We'll continue status quo. Okay, the consent agenda, item number 3, approval of the December 9th regular meeting minutes. Do you have a motion to approve the minutes as read or as typed up? Anybody have any changes?
I'll motion to approve them as written.
Okay,
I'll second.
all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Then number 4, item number 4, discussion and possible action, including adoption of the meeting calendar for 2025. Don't know, do you know offhand what any holiday meeting conflicts might be?
So I use my work calendar to build off, so I think we avoided all of them this year. There is a slight deviation. I think it's in October for Indigenous Peoples Day, so it won't be the second week. It's a different week to accommodate for that.
So it'll be the following Monday?
I believe so. The calendar is attached. Let me try to pull it up here.
Okay.
It was.
Becky,
Yes.
Chair, curious, there was a new Zoom webinar ID and passcode. Did you guys receive that, right? Okay, good, all right.
Well, we can, I just don't know off this calendar that I have what the exact day is for Indigenous Peoples Day. I'm assuming it's the second Monday, which is October 13th.
My internet here is really bad.
Okay. Well, that would make sense if that's the conflict you found.
Yeah, I think.
Okay. So then, do I have a motion to have our meetings on the second Monday of every month at 6 p.m. with the exception of October 13th? That meeting will be the following Monday on October 20th.
I don't know if there's a calendar attached to the item
Okay.
that has everything, but it's just not.
It's not.
The internet.
We're on this 2025.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so there'll be a conflict with, because that will be Scotts Valley Municipal Area Council.
On that third
Yes.
Monday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Their council meetings will be all on the third Monday, so my suggestion would be to bump that a week to the 27th.
Okay. That kind of makes our meetings a little close.
Let me.
If anybody doesn't have any conflicts for like that second Tuesday.
Or the Monday before, the 6th,
We could do that.
a week earlier.
Then you're available?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't pull it up right.
that way there we
Okay.
don't have any,
Well,
violations.
if you're good with that.
I just
Okay,
don't
so
know.
instead of Monday, October 13th, 2025, that meeting will be October 6th, 2025.
Perfect.
Okay,
I'll second that.
all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Who was the motion?
To adopt the,
No, who was it by? The third?
oh, me,
Who was the second?
Austin. All right, item number 5, acceptance of an update from Lars Ewing, Public Services Director regarding Lucerne Harbor dredging. Thank you for coming.
You might have to turn it on. Sorry about that.
Becky, do you know the Wi-Fi password here?
Okay, I see green. There you go. Green is good.
All right, well, good evening. Lars Ewing, Public Services Director, which that department includes Park and Recreation. So I was asked to come just give a brief summary of the Lucerne Harbor dredging project that is completed. I have some general information here to share, numbers and costs and such. But the long and the short of it is the project was completed. It is complete. Was complete by a relatively local contractor from Ukiah. So I'll just give just the highlights. Construction began in early November. Mars General Engineering was the local contractor, again, from Ukiah. They took about 3,000 yards of sediment out of Lucerne Harbor, and the material was hauled to the East Lake landfill, and it was not placed on the landfill proper. It was placed on property owned by the county, which we also own and operate the landfill. So it was not placed on garbage or anything of that nature. It was just placed out in bare land, is a simple way to put that. While construction was going on, there were a couple of mitigation measures that we had in place. One category is sediment control. So out in the harbor, if you were around here, you might have seen a turbidity curtain, what's called a turbidity curtain, out at the kind of the mouth of the harbor, and that was put in place as a requirement, excuse me, of our lake bed encroachment permit with the local water resources department. So that turbidity curtain did essentially just kept the turbid water, the water that is jostled up, so to speak, with the excavator. It kept that water from migrating out into the lake. So it really did a good job. There's some photos from above from a drone that really show a very drastic difference between the water in the harbor during construction and just on the other side of that curtain. So kudos to the Water Resources Department for recognizing that should be there. We also had on-site standard, what's called standard best management practices for sediment control. There were straw wattles in place and such. So that was when the sediment was taken from the harbor. It was placed on the asphalt right there at the harbor, and the reason for that really transitions into another mitigation requirement that we had, and that was archaeological and tribal monitoring. So that was going on at the time. So the sediment was grabbed by a long reach excavator, put on the ground. It was allowed to essentially de-water, though it never really de-watered. It just got a little bit less wet, never dry. And it gave the monitors both an archaeological monitor. We have a consultant that did that work, along with Robinson Rancheria, who had tribal monitors in place. It gave them a chance to observe the material for any artifacts. And from there, they also had the opportunity to review at the landfill site out in the field. It was just the opportunity was there to do that. So aside from sediment control and the monitoring, those were the two main categories of mitigation measures. We had permits with a few different agencies. We had a lake alteration agreement with Fish and Wildlife, State Fish and Wildlife. One, I wouldn't call it a mitigation, but one requirement of the project was the timing of the project for hitch. And so we were We were limited to work between October 15th and December 31st, and so we met that requirement. Another permit that we had was with Caltrans, so an encroachment permit, just to ensure that traffic was handled at at Highway 20 going into and out of the harbor, or at least the parking lot. And then the aforementioned Water Resources Department lake bed encroachment permit was another one. We did not have, because we were not required to get a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers permit, nor a Central Valley Water Board permit, for those that might be familiar with that. Both of those agencies issued no permit required letters, essentially, to us. So to talk a little bit about I want to back up though on the tribal monitoring. We had a monitoring agreement with Robinson Rancheria, and we had a construction. Boy, what was the specific term? I want to make sure I don't misname it. A cultural resource construction monitoring report that was prepared by our consulting archaeologist and provided to Robinson Rancheria for review, and that's really what led to us establishing the monitoring agreement with the tribe. So. I just want to thank the tribe for their partnership, working with us. They were very easy to work with, as was our consultant. They worked and scheduled with our consultant, along with our project manager and the construction team's project manager. So it was a successful project in that respect, by leaps and bounds over what I think we would have expected quite some time ago. So to talk a little bit about the money side of things, total spent on the project to date is a little under $270,000. Construction itself, and it's hard to call it construction because really we're just taking something out, not building anything. But it was a $211,000 contract with Mars General Engineering. On the archaeological side of things, for the consultant, it was about $30,000, and then various other things, surveying and some environmental work, and the permits added up to about another $27,000. So I bring that up because for context, $270,000. We had two bids on this project. One was Mars, the other one was over $1 million. So. Well under that, and backing up even further, a few years when we put out a request for proposals for design firms to fully design this, the cost just for the design alone was over, I believe it was over $350,000 at the time. So again, that's design alone. So by designing it, I was the designer of record. Essentially, the design included building it back to the way it was, and so we took. Local surveying firm helped us with lake bed surveys, and we were able to identify how much soil to take out or sediment to take out, and then getting a semi-local firm, general engineering firm that was able to do that, saving us, it was probably about 10 cents on the dollar. So, rare that would happen, but it did delay the project by having to do it locally and not having the full design. But really from a cost management perspective, it was a success in that realm. So I'll pause there because trying to keep this at a very high level summary, just to let you know that yes, the harbor was dredged. It is, now it looks no different than it would have before. You're not going to notice it until we get into the summer and the lake level goes down. But by and large, we took about across the level, it was about 4 to 5 feet of soil from top down to where the lake bed was, back down to the original design depth of that harbor when it was built in the 70s. So, which I can't tell you the Rumsey gauge level, but it's elevation 1,316 for those that are interested. That's the harbor level that it was designed to and built back to. So with that said, I'll pause and take any questions and go from there. So yes, sir.
Wasn't the original plan to take out more like 20,000 cubic feet?
No, it was 2,500 cubic yards was the estimate, and 2,500, and yeah, we took a little bit more than that, basically about 3,000 yards. Yeah.
And do you think they did a good job, like around the edge of the bulkhead and all that? Do you think they were able
Yeah, the design, we wanted to make sure that they were staying away from the pier. You know, we're not trying to undermine that. So yeah, that was one of the observations that we wanted to ensure that they did. So, so the construction manager was observing that along, to be honest, along with the construction, or the tribal monitors were also observing that as well. Sure.
Said before that, depending on how much money was left, about putting in some docks.
Yep, yeah, we are looking into that right now to put in a, not another dock, but building off of the docks that are there, the floating docks. Exactly, more transient docks, exactly, yeah.
How much is left?
From that, I think we have about 120,000, so we should be able to, yeah, we should be able to make some headway there. Yeah.
For those though, were you talking about actual boat slips or just?
Transient, yes, transient, yeah, there's what, two, can't believe I'm forgetting if there's one or two, but.
There's two.
There's two, so I guess you'd call that the easternmost pier building, going off of that. So taking a 90 and adding the additional transient boat docks for tie-ups.
Okay.
It's west, that L shape, that's, I was thinking about that, that's the western pier.
Well, right,
does
what I'm
curve
saying
towards
is
east.
we would take a 90-degree turn and head kind of to the
East.
to the east or to the south. It's
Yeah.
it's a little odd. It's not
Well,
a direct north-south.
It was actually really nice. We took our dive team boat out on Saturday to do some training, and being able, without that big mound, that little island there,
Right.
to be able to, once we had launched, to back up out and have that room to turn around instead of back all the way out of the harbor.
Yeah, that was really what was driving the project. Yeah.
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 So when you say permit fees, I understand Fish and Wildlife. What about the county fees? Is this project exempt from county permit fees, or do we have to pay?
Yeah, we did not have to pay, to my recollection, it was the entirety of the permit fees were state. Now, that's because the park, excuse me, the Parks Department is general fund. So when we're talking about planning fees, generally that's a no-cost fee. If there's getting into the weeds a little bit here, but no, for this project there were no local permit fees. It was all state. Sir.
How much did you say the depth you brought it back down to?
It varied. It varied, but yeah, but on average 4 to 5 feet. Yep.
Any consideration as to mitigating having to do this again down the line?
Well,
The creek that ends up there, and quite frankly, the harbor should have never been put there.
sure. Well,
That's why it's still today.
okay, yeah, and I can't comment to that because we're receiving that harbor, and we're managing it now. I don't disagree with you from the wave action and the prevailing winds and the fact that there's a creek that comes right in there. It's not a great location for at least for sediment management. So to manage it in the future, though, because we've done this maintenance dredging project, we have a few things to our benefit. We have an existing monitoring agreement, and we have the precedent for what we have to go through for permitting again. But we also will be able to, if we do it in a expeditious fashion, then we'll be able to apply under a maintenance permit. And I can't say what frequency that is right now, but money comes into play as well. If we, this was a little over $200,000, which is very cheap. I don't know that we're gonna have that again, even if we're taking out quite a lot less sediment. But I agree with you that we don't want to go another 50 years until we're dredging it again.
If I could just interject, when he asked a question, can you repeat it for our online
sure.
audience? I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure, yeah.
I appreciate and saw the barrier that was put up to keep the water from muddy water going out into the lake. And it seems like that's great from that side of the coin, and the other side of the coin, something similar to that would keep stuff from coming in.
So if I can try to restate it, can we prevent sediment from coming into the harbor to prevent having to dredge it again? Is that what you're getting at? Okay. Yeah.
Seems like a little now rather than a lot.
Yeah, and I wouldn't disagree with that it would be a great idea. But I think in application that would likely be more challenging than simply keeping water that is turbid from going out. I think keeping that on a day-to-day basis while still allowing boats to come in and out, I think would be a challenge, but certainly worth looking into. Sir.
As you go out the bulkhead, out into the main body of the lake, so is the harbor, do you know if the harbor now is a lower elevation than as you go out the mouth of?
It is, so the question is if outside of the mouth of the harbor, is the harbor now lower than out into the main part of the lake? And we don't have the lake bed survey data out that far, but if I were a betting man, I would say yes, it's likely that the harbor is lower than further out in the lake. But we had to be reasonable with respect to how far out we're dredging. But based on creeks and wave action, yes, there's likely some sediment buildup out there.
Just from our depth finder and our 360-degree sonar that we have, I think it was around 8 or 9 feet in the harbor. And then as you started getting out further, then, went up to like 15, 16, 19 feet as you got out.
Any other questions from the board at all?
Oh, one more.
Yes, ma'am. So, no, I'll restate the question so that we can re-emphasize that. That'll be good. Am I also responsible for road signs? No, I am not. I'll tell you where to go. I can help you out with that. If it's on the state highway, that is Caltrans. I don't have a specific number or anything here with either of these answers, but that would be Caltrans. And on the county roads, that's the Lake County Public Works Department. So my title is Public Services. Don't ask me why, because every department is in the job of public service, but nevertheless, that's different department, but Public Works. Sure. Yeah. Great.
I just had one point, only to, I guess, sort of tag or add on Darnell? Thank you. To Darnell's point about the, I guess, anxieties about the need for dredging or maintenance on it, because if I recall, I've been here since the early 90s. Originally, that park actually had a third elongated straight pier as you first entered the parking lot via 9th Avenue across the highway. And that part, if I remember, I think I've seen this actually on satellite view imagery, but where it still existed, that would have prevented the wave action of the lake, the larger body of the actual lake, entering the mouth of the harbor, or at least partially blocked off some of that wave action. And this was some 40 yards to the east of that creek's mouth, which is directly outflowing from the parking lot. So in a way, obviously that large structure pier is something that, now that it's gone, probably with 120K especially remaining, is not something we could hope for. But it is something that I've thought of a lot, has the county considered to that end, like there's going to be a wave action issue combining the outflow of the lake and putting into the sediment of the harbor, and that we have this harbor here is both so important to us and also so kind of a unique situation as far as an infrastructure item goes, that if we considered it like a stone type dike, or
and because I'm not too familiar, I mean, I'm familiar with the location, but I don't know the previous pier that you're referring to. So I think maybe if you have some imagery that you can share with me, that would be helpful. Just to kind of not answer you, but at least get to the point where maybe I could provide a better answer, because we have not looked at that. I mean, just likely from a financial perspective.
Right.
Dredging in harbors is very common. It has been uncommon here, obviously, but that is that's just a part of day to day. Well, not day to day, but year to year, or at least decade to decade maintenance. And so I think that's just from a from a harbor maintenance perspective, that's the first stop. Now, but we certainly could look into that. It would be finding the funding and prioritizing that. So, so if you could share with me some information, that'd be great, just so I could look at that.
I think I might have to go back and find it in satellite view, or does anybody here remember what I'm talking about? It goes back to when we had the metal play structure in that park. So, I mean, it's got to be 25, 30 years ago. And I believe it probably was lost to possibly lack of maintenance or something to that nature. But I knew once it was gone, that was something, having visited that park sometimes daily through my childhood, that was something that we'll probably miss in some way. And now here we are, where I've noticed, have you, Dan, have you seen that?
There was a pier there years ago, but there wasn't anything to block any wind.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was actually, I knew it was solid. It wasn't float style pier, but it was a solid structure. I just couldn't remember if it went all the way down into the water or not, or if it was just up on posts. Okay. So yeah, I could be mistaken. But those posts would have still some amount of wave action denial into the Creek Harbor area, but it's just something that I've considered as I visit there, especially since I've enjoyed a lot using the harbor since it's been dredged. So, thank you. Yeah.
Well, if more sediment comes from the street, wouldn't that sink the whole thing in? Or does more sediment come from the lake consuming from the street?
It would be probably a hydrologist who'd best be able to assess that, but I mean, I think it comes. She asked if we know if more sediment is occurring into the mouth of the harbor via the lake wave action or the creek. And to be honest, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure probably the greater body of water would be the lake. It's probably doing that. But the fact that they're both right there is kind of my point, and that we had some type of a physical structure item there, and I just was misremembering it as something much more probably useful. But to that end, something like that eventually going to that area may be helpful, at least to delay the need for redredging faster.
But in absence of a project like that, which isn't, not to say that we couldn't start the preliminary planning for something like that, but I think focusing our efforts on maintenance dredging is where I would suggest that we focus our efforts. But I'll be digging into the other piece. But it's good to know that it was a pier. Yeah, that would be a pile pier. That's not going to be helping out a whole lot from the perspective of sediment. Sir.
Thank you very much for getting this done.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, thank
welcome.
you.
No, well, and Dan, thank you for your involvement with this. It was a slog. I had some lessons learned along the way, but the construction, thanks to co-workers of mine who just got this thing through. It was a breeze. So for those that were involved in it, they're the ones that deserve the credit. So, but I appreciate you saying that.
Well, thank them for us.
I will.
I just had one quick question. Who's in charge of the navigational buoys? Because the green one is missing right outside the harbor.
So that is it's either going to be Water Resources Department, at least you can start there, or the Marine Patrol Division on the sheriff's side. So yes.
Okay. All right.
That is Water Resources. They have a ton. It's the name of a specific program that pays for those aids to navigation. That's what those are.
Yeah.
I had one last question also. You mentioned another group as well as Robinson Rancheria assembling the tribal monitoring group, and I think you'd said that they put out a monitoring report before the actual dredging, and I understand they're one of the entities out there doing the monitoring, but would you know, or would I just want to contact them for information of what, if anything, they found?
Well, so the other entity that we had was our consulting archaeologist. So we had Robinson Tribal Monitors and the consulting archaeologist, and the tribes, at the tribe's request, which we certainly honor, they're in talking to their chair, their statement is they say that they neither found nor didn't find anything. So I would stand here and honor that.
Okay, thank you.
Was the consultant Dr. Parker?
No, it was not. It was DZC Archaeology, but Dr. Parker was involved at the beginning in working with the tribes to get to the point where we did an initial study and got to the point where we did have that cultural resources monitoring agreement.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming and
Of course.
giving that update. I think everybody in town's very pleased with the project.
All right, well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Do we need to make a motion for that?
EJ is not zooming in
Okay.
tonight.
Yeah.
So we'll have to
we
skip
got
that.
Okay, then, item number 6, discussion possible action, including acceptance of an update from Supervisor Crandall. Unfortunately, Supervisor Crandall could not make it tonight, so we will not be getting an update this month. All right, then that brings us to item number 7. Do we have any public comments? A citizen has up to 3 minutes to provide input on any item not appearing on the agenda. These items can often be further discussed on a future agenda if the CERT Council agrees to it or add it for a future item. All right, go ahead, Dan. I think you need to get up to the mic, though, for us. Yeah, just so, because it's being recorded.
Okay, yeah, for the last,
Could you introduce yourself and where you're from?
sure, Dan DeBonis from Lucerne. And for the last couple of meetings, I've asked for items to be placed on the agenda, items like cleaning up the swim area in Alpine Park and looking into removing debris along the shoreline across from the Lucerne Rivieras. Things like looking into the bridge repair on Foothill, and as you mentioned this evening, Becky, something like the navigation buoys. These are all things that I think are in the purview of the council, and once again, this is the 3rd time that I've requested these items to be put on the agenda, and I don't understand why you've neglected to do that.
I do recall that. My apologies. I made notes, and we will make sure to get those items on next month's agenda. And I know I've brought up the Foothill Bridge numerous times, and that was one thing that I wanted to ask Supervisor Crandall if there had been any progress on that, because I've heard from several people that about the bridge. Any other public comments?
My name's Carrie Lee, and I'm here in Lucerne. And it occurs to me to wonder if the county might take any interest in blocking off Dixie Trail. I live right where Dixie Road becomes Dixie Trail up here. And people are taking shortcuts up to Dunstan, and what it's doing is eroding the edge of the road. And a lot of people depend on that to actually get to their homes and properties who have stuff out that way. So there is another route to go Robinson and make the turn and go, and it probably takes all of 2 more minutes tops. So it would be nice if something could be done at the edge of the road, or perhaps, since Habitat for Humanity owns the property that's where people keep plowing through, maybe to contact them and consider the possibility of a fence or a gate. I don't know what sort of funds would be available for something like that, but better now before the road is impassable one day up there.
Okay, thank you. All right, you got a question, Darnell, or a comment, I'm sorry?
You guys can leave the microphone on if you want. It'll be fine.
My name is Darnell Walton. I live here in Lucerne. I'm wondering what the relationship and cooperation is with, let's just say, in this one issue, Caltrans and the county. Lucerne is one of the few towns on 20 that has curbing and sidewalks and parkway. Caltrans is, over the years, continually to, well, they mitigated it 10 years ago, put pavement down until the point we have virtually no curbs. My understanding from talking to Caltrans, their prerogative goes the street, the curb, the grass, and the sidewalk. Those are their responsibilities. We might get the street swept 2 times a year, maybe 3, mowed maybe once or twice a year. That's the observation. What I have noticed, and it seems to be systemic here in the county, if we let something go, and I'll just bring up the harbor again, for 20, 30 years, 50 years, whatever it's been, that's opportunities, resources missed, and it is degrading to the community and its livelihood as well as its reputation. Houses on Highway 20 in Lucerne have had historically several people who choose to not park on the street at the curb, but on the grass and sometimes onto the sidewalk. I get it. They're in a precarious place with the road turning, and God knows the traffic through here is, one, illegal at its speeds that we allow it to keep on and on and on and on. I realize it's a major lateral highway and maybe the first one in the state of California. What that has done by not addressing those who choose to park there, who bought the property knowing its highway frontage, the houses do have garages on the alley that is usually not navigatable other than a Sherman tank. And they're probably full of stuff like my garage, and or it's been converted, legally or not. All this is to lead up to, as we continue to not address that one particular one on this end of town, we'll call it the East End, we now have at least a half a dozen to 8 cars throughout the town parking there. And in some areas where there isn't a curb, they're not in undue danger. The point is this: as long as we don't address certain things, in this case, and I'm bringing this to the attention of the council here, to stop that. It's illegal to begin with. It looks like Hicksville, and it multiplies and multiplies and multiplies. Let's just turn the whole effing street into a parking lot. So any of the businesses that are trying to survive here can't even have customers, and we'll make it look like a junkyard. Again, we've got a car across here in the Catholic Church, dumped. How much money does this county spend on mitigating? Because we allow crackheads to continue to dump their cars anywhere, anytime they want. And the taxpayer pays for it. That's all I'll do for this evening. We still need to look at universal garbage pickup. EJ told me, late last year. He looked into it, and it was in the 1950s. There was a vote put up to see if the people wanted to have this mandatory garbage. You do the math, 1950 to 2025. A number of things have changed, population has changed, and this idea of we're spending grant money to set up every 6 months, every 3 months, every 4 months, a dump pickup. That means those who can and choose to have trash pickup are subsidizing that by our rates, and that money, that grant for cleanup could be used for something other. And once that money's gone, we're right back to the crackheads and their trash. It is a disgrace, it's a health hazard, and it is illegal, and we continue to not address it. Thank you.
Thank you. I just did want to say something about the Highway 20. There's a project, I'm not sure, I have it downloaded somewhere, but I believe in 2029, there's supposed to be a major project here in Lucerne. So they'll be doing sidewalks, curbs, bulb outs, traffic calming measures, crosswalks, all kinds of stuff. So we'll see if that comes to fruition.
We also, in, I believe it's going to be March, are hosting a road, I think it's a highway and safety plan manager that our county is taking up, and he will be presenting for us information about the improvement of the safety corridor of Highway 20. He'll be here in March to give that presentation. So please we'll keep note of that. Yes, he will be physically here in this room for the next town hall in March. So yeah, we hear you. Thank you. And thank you for bringing it to our attention. I didn't necessarily know that each sidewalk facing Highway 20 was actually within Caltrans jurisdiction. That on its own is very good information, extra nugget to have. Thank you. I actually believe he's been subcontracted by the county. Sorry, I'm just going off of an email exchange I just had with him prior to this meeting. I think he works for a general contractor out of Ukiah, and they were subcontracted for this research. Do you have it, Alex?
Yeah, he works for Dow and Associates. He's a senior transportation planner.
Right. Should be, yes. Right there.
All right, any other public comment?
Good evening, Council. I'm Thomas DeSevis from the Worth. There we go. Worth Council, now Chairman of Worth Council. Good evening to you guys. On the highway project you just mentioned, I'm on the Pedestrian Bicycle Advisory Committee. We haven't had a meeting in a while. I just texted a fellow council member on that committee to find out when the next meeting is, as soon as I get an update. But you said a planner's coming here to talk to you about an update about the corridor improvement?
Yeah, as of the 10th, he should be here.
Okay, that'd be great, because what's that person's name?
Mr. Spica, S-P.
Oh, John Spica. Yeah,
Yep,
he's coming to
thank you.
ours.
I was going to say, it's a specific name.
Yeah, he's going to come to our meeting too. I think he's talking about he reached out to me as well. But on the actual improvement, again, they're looking at 2030, 31, depending, of course. I want to find an update on the funding because of the calamity of our state funds and federal funds and everything that's going on right now. I want to see if they're still on track to have that funded so they can do the improvements through M.A.C. and there are also going to be some more rapid flashing beacon signs put up too. I think at least 8 more. So you'll see more of those go up in Lucerne. I think Mike's Electric out of Sebastopol is doing the work on that. So anyway, I agree, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, well, when I got the info, it was 2029, so you see it got pushed back to 2031.
Yeah, dates they were giving us, and it might be 2029, 2030, so it was just like
Yeah, I got this several years ago, that
this was just
project with the map and everything.
Yeah, and they came by and they showed us what they were going to do and trying to calm the traffic. The whole procedure is trying to calm it down and narrow the lanes. You guys, I know you have grievances here in this Lucerne, but Nice, I must say, is a mess, because I ride my bike through this corridor a lot, and Nice is just phenomenally. There's no sidewalks, there's no vastly improvements needed. I know you need them here, but at least you got the beautiful boardwalk and well, I think it's beautiful, yeah. I go through here and when I get here, I'm always like, oh, it's cool. You got bike lanes and stuff. Thanks.
Thank you, Thomas. Yeah.
So Thomas, I received that document. It is 159 pages in 2021.
Is that the former traffic calming study?
No, this is the whole,
Oh, yeah, I have a copy of that.
yeah.
Yeah, I also had a meeting with them a year ago, last year. It was a small meeting with them, with the planners and what it was gonna look like and the updates that we have for PBAC. And it's probably similar to what you're seeing. They're looking at a big, over by Century, 2-lane bike lane on one side.
Wow.
And then going with more bike lanes, calming and different things. I mean, it's pretty extensive. You're talking about millions and millions of dollars. I mean, it's gonna be, I mean, but that, you know, who knows what things are going on here now with the state and how it's gonna work out.
Yeah,
It'd be worth it.
The projected cost on here says $29,424,000.
Well, I'm sure that'll go up.
Yeah. Yes.
Because in 2019 dollars.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Any other comments? All right, anybody, nobody on Zoom?
Nope.
Okay, and do we have any announcements? All right,
Please come, yes.
yeah.
Hey. That's fine. There.
How about that?
It's one of them. Yeah.
That'll work.
Yes? Thank you. Thank you.
They tend to be more
Great.
intuitive than they look, mic stands. They're like,
Aloha, Surf. My name is Margot Kambara. The Lucerne Alpine Senior Center hosts free ukulele and guitar lessons here, a group class, Thursdays at noon. Please join us. It's a lot of fun. Make live music and friends. This is available to people 60 years old and older, and their attending caregivers. And I have another announcement.
Will you hold that up one more time and I'll get a good shot of it for you? There you go. Thank you.
Thank you. Secondly, Lake County Community Development Department is hosting a meeting on the Lake County General Plan update. Now, the general plan is the roadmap for development and growth of the unincorporated parts of Lake County. This meeting is on Thursday, February 13th at 3 p.m. It's at the county courthouse in Lakeport. I have meeting reminder slips if anybody is interested, anyone in attendance, and people who are watching this remotely, you can go to the Lake County website for the general plan update, and that address is https:// all one word, lakecounty2050.org/meetings/. Now, general plan and what's on the agenda is land use, and ordinarily people will probably be rolling their eyes. How this affects many residents is that it affects how we are going to see Lake County 25 years from now. If we value Lake County's small town feel and open spaces, we have to pay attention to land use questions and issues that come up. And these will be discussed on Thursday and next Thursday. And I do have other information on that. There are some specific cases, but this meeting is going to be covering all land use questions or issues that are being brought up all around the lake. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements? All right, well, thank you all for attending. We appreciate you coming and giving input and your participation, and we will see you next month. Meeting's adjourned at 6:49 p.m.